Actually, hold on. Wait, okay. No, hear me out. It's not Jackie. It's Sun and Moon. Because of the way the smile is positioned, if you hold it one way, the sun is smiling. If you flip it upside down, the moon is on top and the card is frowning. And Sun Moon is that like happy, angry, or happy, sad flip.
Ladies, gentlemen, and those with the good sense to do away with the whole notion, I welcome you to the premier audio medium for all your Fazbear entertainment needs. The Freddy Fazbear Pizza Podcast. Note, FFPP is not responsible for any loss of appetite, disinterest, dismemberment, or other legally classified statuses. So strap in and enjoy.
Welcome back to the Freddy Fazbear Pizza Podcast. I'm your host of the Toast of Rye Toast, here to talk about Five Nights at Freddy's, as we always do. Yes, I'm still sick, and before you say anything, I do have a doctor's appointment. Because, Jesus Christ. The household's leading theory is I got a sinus infection from the cold that everybody got. Because everybody's, like, better. Everybody else is pretty much better. And I'm still sick as a dog. So the thinking is, like, because of this illness, I got a sinus infection. I just want to not be sick. I feel like I've been sick for a month and a half. But because of that, I'm going to be right up on the microphone because I'm not using my voice too much. All right, come here. Casey is like begging to get on a lap. You can be on my lap, but you got to be good. Look at this ghost mug. It's really cute. Got at Target. A little bit of channel upkeep. For those of you who don't watch the streams or didn't see my community post I made, I'm shifting the focus of the channels. So I stream 3 times a week on Twitch. 2 of those are on Rytoost, and the Friday one is on this main channel because, you know, most people see that. I had a long think about it, and I asked a couple friends for advice, and I decided to make the viewer experience a bit more a la carte and better in general. I'm moving all gaming content to Rytoost, the second channel. I'll put the card here if I remember. But essentially, what that means for you is that includes streams. So if you watch the Friday live streams, they're still happening, and they're still going to be horror or FNAF adjacent, right? Like, that's not changing. Just the location is. Those streams will be on, like I said, Rytoost, my second YouTube channel. They still will be on Twitch. They'll be on both over there. And the only streams that will happen on this channel moving forward are big events. So, new game comes out, charity event. Those will be on this channel. Otherwise, everything's over there. That being said, if you'll notice on the live tab, a bunch of the stream VODs are missing now. Those stream VODs are still publicly accessible in a playlist called Stream VODs. That's video on demand. That playlist is public. It's on this channel. You can still access it. Do not worry. To reflect this change moving forward, I went back and unlisted all streams that would have happened on the second channel. So if you go on the live tab, you're only seeing the streams I'm talking about. New games that came out, charity streams, other kinds of events like that. So all that to say, you can still watch every stream VOD. None of them are privated. You just have to go on the stream VODs playlist if you want to watch the ones that will end up on the second channel moving forward. And as a little bit of an incentive to go join that second channel to watch these streams, this Friday stream is Security Breach, but I gave Gregory a gun. Inspired by Fiznom's I Fixed Security Breach stream at the end of his Slopathon charity event last month. He had a whole bunch of mods. I'm just going to do the one where you give Gregory a gun because that's very funny. But yeah, Five Nights at Freddy's. We're just going to do more timeline planning out, I think, is the move. And we don't have to do a big recap this time because we did that last time. So we've done the games, we've done Michael, William, Henry, Charlotte, Elizabeth, MCI Kids, Dave. Realistically, the only character we haven't done that I would like to do is Cassidy. And I guess then we move on to modern FNAF because this timeline right now ends at FNAF 6. At least the characters I've written, because most of these characters die in FNAF 6 and don't come back for real. So we'll do Cassidy, and that'll kind of be the turning point to the modern era of FNAF and building and fleshing out that timeline. So, Cassidy. I still think Cassidy is the vengeful spirit. And I think the reason Cassidy is the vengeful spirit is because she was part of, or he or whoever, this child was part of the MCI, but they were specifically springlocked in Fredbear, which is why they're so vengeful. So, dies in MCI by springlock in Fredbear. I think that makes Cassidy an incredibly vengeful spirit. As far as things Cassidy specifically does, we don't really see a lot from them until Follow Me, where I do think the fifth spirit we play as is Cassidy, the one that corners William. The headphones are coming off. They were hurting too much. The thing that sucks the most about this illness isn't even, it's specifically my ears. My nose has been so congested that my ears hurt. And that's what sucks the most, because it makes wearing earbuds and headphones a chore. Corners William and Follow Me, and leading to his death. Now, in the encyclopedia, it says that Charlotte sensed that William was not dead and stuck around. I think the same can be said for Cassidy. So that being said, I think Cassidy just lies in wait in Golden Freddy up until post FNAF 3. All right, so Cassidy is lying in wait in Golden Freddy to attack Williams should his soul ever get strong enough to move again, or whatever have you. FNAF 3, William gets yoinked and escapes. I still believe in Stormister's theory that post FNAF 3, William seeks out Golden Freddy to repair the Spring Bonnie suit with parts from Golden Freddy, therefore attaching Cassidy's spirit to himself. And then, wanders around a scrap trap for a bit until FNAF 6, where after the fire of FNAF 6, the parts of Cassidy that attach to William's soul now grabs William tightly and goes, hey, you're going to suffer forever. And Cassidy, the vengeful spirit, is doing Ultimate Custom Night. I think this is twofold, because as I'm writing this, I realized if parts of Cassidy are being attached to William because of the suit, then technically Cassidy's soul is not whole as of FNAF 6. Part of it is still attached to the remains of the Golden Freddy suit at that establishment it was hidden in. So if that's true, that might be why Ultimate Custom Night is happening. Cassidy can't move on at FNAF 6. Not all of Cassidy is there. So it's not, I'm going to keep you alive forever just cause. Cassidy is basically in a position where you made it so I can't move on, and no one alive knows how to help me anymore because we're all supposed to die here. So if I'm going to be stuck like this forever, you are too. And that's why Cassidy's doing Ultimate Custom Night. That's why Cassie's the one you should not have killed. And that's why Cassie's a vengeful spirit. It's like, I'm stuck forever. I'm never going to be able to move on, and it's your fault. So I'm going to make you suffer for as long as I can't move on. And that also gives us a possibility for Cassidy to still exist as of Security Breach, because not all of Cassidy was in that fire. So maybe Cassidy is the Princess in Princess Quest. I'm not sure. I'll make a note for that. PQ question mark? Blob question mark? Because I could see the blob being all of that agony, and then whatever is left of Cassidy in that fire once William is either out of UCN or whatever takes over the blob. I could see that for sure. I guess we have to move on to Modern FNAF now, huh? Yeah, I guess it's time. We should do Vanessa first, I think. No, let's do an easy one. Let's dip our toes in the water. Let's do an easy one with Cassie. I think Cassie is generally easy to place timeline-wise right now. So Cassidy meets Gregory at a terrible birthday party at the Security Breach Pizzaplex. The next notable thing we know is after the Pizzaplex has been demolished, she gets called to the Pizzaplex by who she believes is Gregory. We don't know exactly what called her there, if it was like an email or a phone call or whatever. My best guess is like an email or something, but I don't know. All I know is you told me to come here. That's all we know. But is called to. So when she gets to the ruined Pizzaplex, she follows the Gregory that she's talking to on the walkie-talkie. She follows his instructions, and through this, fully disables the MXES system and unlocks the door to the Mimic. And in this process, she uses the Vanny Mask, meaning she gets an occipital nerve chip. And As far as where she is now, it's ambiguous. There's 3 endings, but no matter what, Cassie is stuck in the Pizzaplex underground with the Mimic, because whether it's the Brazil ending, the Scooper ending, or the elevator ending, she is not shown to be leaving, and the Mimic is MIA. In the elevator ending, the elevator crashes, so she's still down there, and we didn't see what happened to the Mimic after she left. In the Scooper ending, theoretically, she can still make it to the elevator and escape, but when she scooped the Mimic, all that happened was that the Mimic was taken out of its costume. Because, again, we went out of bounds. When you scoop the Mimic costume, the Mimic endoskeleton is no longer in it after the scooping. And then in the Brazil ending, she puts on the mask, and it looks like she is seeing a recreation of what she wished would happen, that she saved Gregory, they got out okay. But she's still in that cave being chased by the Mimic. She probably died there, unless she got taken over by Vanny's persona at that point. Like I mentioned, Cassie, pretty straightforward. Going along with somewhat easier characters, we can do Cassie's dad as well. So I still am firm that Cassie's dad is the Bonnie bully. It's the only way I can explain that Bonnie mask and the color thing with Cassie and Bonnie bully. Like, I like that theory a lot. I'm still pretty agreeable on that. I'd been opposed. So I was a proponent at some point that Cassie's dad was also Jeremy Fitzgerald from FNAF 2, the bite victim of the bite of 87. My thinking was that that bite led to the loss of a lot of his memories, but still left him. And because he lost a lot of his memories, he was still he knew he had a connection to FNAF, like to Freddy's and Fazbear's entertainment, but he didn't know why. So maybe in his post bite life, he just went, I probably just love these characters or whatever, and lived like that. And that's why it's like, do you remember Jeremy? Like, keep in mind, Jeremy, try to remember Jeremy. But in lieu of the week before, I don't think that's the case anymore. The week before talks about the bite victim of the bite of 87 and pretty much directly states that the bite victim doesn't really do anything anymore. So it seems like the trauma received from the bite of 87 would not produce someone who's capable of doing Help Wanted 2 and all of the subterfuge of security breach. It seems like that person is going through a lot more and is a lot more restricted. That being said, I had always been against the idea of Cassie's dad being Jeremy from Help Wanted, because I was like, he cuts off his face, he can't survive, end of discussion. Recently, I was on a live podcast with a bunch of FNAF tubers, including ID's Fantasy, and I heard her out on Cassie's dad being Jeremy from Help Wanted, because when Tape Girl talks about the incident, she mentions there was something that looked like a Halloween mask on the floor, but that room was well lit. She mentions that the room was well lit when she approached. And we know that Glitchtrap is trying to make people make masks. I do think it's possible. And then she likened it to the Candy Cadet story, where it was that, the one from Help Wanted 2, where a young woman, and again, the gender of these stories don't super matter, they're metaphors. But she likened it to that story where as a young woman almost gets eaten by a witch and she escapes, but she's left scarred. And then much later in her life, she returns to those woods to face off against the witch once again. But a little boy is at the front of the woods who offers to guide her and says oh, well, you should rest for the fight tomorrow and enter my house to do so. And once she does, the witch closes the oven and has her meal. And this lines up if Help Wanted 2's protagonist is Jeremy from Help Wanted 1. In this theory, the idea that Jeremy faced off against Glitchtrap before Help Wanted and used the paper slicer to break free before it got too late and severely cut his face, and that's where the blood, the scarring, all that comes from, but didn't cut his face off. He just cut off the VR machine and got himself a bit. And then come Help Wanted 2, he's so he sticks with Fazbear's to try to rid this out of the system. That's why he knows what's going on. That's why he's looking into the Pizzaplex. And eventually he goes to do this in Help Wanted 2. And whether you think the little boy who led him astray is Vanny or Helpy or what have you, The second time he tries to beat this, he dies. Both endings of Help Wanted 2 lead to the player dying. So no matter what he tries to do in this game, he loses. And this thinking does kind of go along with the recent theory I put out on Help Wanted 2's endings, that specifically the Princess Quest ending of Help Wanted 2 is Vanny taking over the mind of the player. And I likened it to that because she does a very similar thing that Glitchtrap does in Help Wanted 1, where Glitchtrap opens the door, does the shh, and then waves and fades off into darkness, right? The ending of Princess Quest, Vanny crushes Glitchtrap, looks at us, and then just waves and fades into darkness. If the point of the Candy Cadet story is telling us that what Glitchtrap was trying to do gets done in Help Wanted 2, then that also lines up with the idea of like someone was trying to take your mind and someone did. The only problem with that interpretation is both times it's the same witch. And like Vanny is an extension of Glitchtrap, but she seems to be crushing Glitchtrap in that cutscene. So maybe this is talking about the other ending where like Glitchtrap exits the pod and the staff bots just like kill the player. Regardless, I've been won over. I think Cassie's dad is Jeremy Help Wanted. And that's Cassie's dad. And genuinely, honestly, being super real, I don't feel good. So I think we're probably only at like 20, 25 minutes if I'm looking at the timeline. Because the recording is at 40 minutes, but there's a lot of long blank spaces. So I think we're just going to move on to questions. If you have questions, you can send them into Freddy Fazbear Pizza Podcast at gmail.com. You can copy and paste that in the description because it's a pain to type out. Our first question comes from Kyoto, she, her. The concept of MOE allows you to explore and participate in the Pizzaplex's attractions, including arcades, through a virtual reality experience. In VIP, if you played arcade games through the MOE headset, it increased the value of your game score. What if Gregory, or GGY, used the MOE in the Pizzaplex to get his ridiculously high scores in the arcade games? It's a long shot, but interesting concept, since in the book, GGY, other players explicitly stated his scores were too good or seemingly hacked. So either Gregory is just that amazing at arcade games, or maybe it was possible he used the MOE to enhance his scoring. We know there's a heavy possibility he used a Vanny mask, so maybe also accessed an MOE headset. Thank you for your question, Kyota. I agree with you, but I'm going to take it one step further. I think the MOE is an early version of the Vanny mask. Right? Because in Help Wanted 2, we see the player using the Vanny mask to access parts of the Pizzaplex and play these different attractions. Explicitly in Foxy's log flume, in between the transitions with the moon segments, we see static, which to me says we're wearing the Vanny mask. So I think that might be how Gregory was tricked into helping Vanny and Glitchtrap in the first place, where like they see this kid playing the arcades all the time, and Vanessa comes up and says, "Hey kid, I've got this special Fazbear mask that'll increase your points on these arcade machines." And he goes, "Yeah, sure, I'll try it." Puts it on, occipital nerve chip. The more he plays the arcade games with the mask on, because like we learned from Ruin that you need to wear the mask for a bit before it can actually get you. So they're trying to trick you to wear it longer and longer. And if this kid's already playing arcade games so much, and he was told that if he wears it while he's playing, he'll get higher scores, and they can make that happen easily, then all of a sudden, we have a perfect victim for the mask. This is, I think, our most likely answer for how Gregory was initially turned into GGY, is they were just paying attention to see who played the most arcade games, approached him, told him that this would give him better high scores, and he wore it getting high scores until eventually it took over his mind. I think it just makes sense. Do we have any evidence to suggest this? Incredibly speculative. Like, what I just said is pretty much all of the evidence, quote unquote, we have, and it's not really evidence, but it's more like implications based on things we know about how these things function. But I guess to be direct with your question, I don't think GGY or Gregory used the MOE. I think Gregory used a Vanny mask, and his Vanny mask was, and just the Vanny mask in general is the finalized version of the MOE headset system. But thank you for your question. Our next question comes from Benji, they, them. I've been playing Help Wanted 2 now that it's finally on Switch. I noticed something interesting. Because I'm on Switch, I can really only look at the back of Mystic Hippo's cards, and I'm there a lot because that's where the Monty plush is. I love that little guy. Looking at the back of the cards, the design looks a lot like Jackie's face. It has a big goofy grin, rosy cheeks, eyes, and a big clown nose. Notably, the nose is replaced by a sun, and there's a moon in the place, usually occupied by the button of Jackie's bow tie. Adding to this theme, the big smile on the cards is comprised of twinkling stars. In summary, the back of Mystic Hippo's cards kind of look like Jackie's face, and contains the imagery of the sun, moon, and stars. Overall, I think this just furthers the connection between Jackie's, sun, moon, Mystic Hippo, and Fall Fest. I guess my question is, what's your interpretation of this, and what could it mean other than reinforcing the other connections? If I remember, I'll add the picture because they added the back of the card, which was very useful. But thank you for your question, Benji. My initial interpretation, let me pull the picture back up real quick. My interpretation, just looking at it, I see what you mean by it like kind of looking like Jackie's face, but I don't see it. Like, just being honest, I don't think it looks like a face. However, it is incredibly worthwhile to point out that there is a sun and a moon. That is huge. And again, it keeps pointing to this idea that not only are sun and moon incredibly old, like comparatively, like a very beginning member of this franchise, but it links Mystic Hippo to that building we see in the Help Wanted 2 update with the stained glass window that has the sun and the move and that traveling caravan, which looks like something a Mystic Hippo would make a lot of sense to be at. You know, this idea of this like traveling mystic circus or whatever. So I think you're right that it further strengthens the connections that we've seen thus far between Mystic Hippo and the beginning of this franchise and Fall Fest and Sun and Moon. But I don't know what it would mean as of yet. To me, again, we keep getting all of these hints towards something even bigger and larger and before William and Henry about all of this that we just have not gotten any answers for yet. So I am very interested to see where this is going. Because again, I made that joke with the underscore in that podcast that like it feels like we're going to see that something about the Fazbear franchise is tainted by something that's much older than the Fazbear franchise. The idea that there was this like traveling cult of mask wearers who would do like a circus in your town and take over the minds of someone and then leave, you know, like, and would use masks to do it. And that we're just seeing them infiltrate this Fazbear entertainment franchise. It feels almost outlandish to say out loud, but all the evidence we have keeps pointing to something that might be like that. It's very interesting. But you are right to point out, I never realized the back of her cards have a sun and a moon on them. That is huge information. And I'll give you credit where credit's due. The smile does look like a smile because not only are there stars, but they're positioned in a way that look like the outline of the corners of teeth, right? Where it's like, there would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teeth on the top and bottom row, and it's closed teeth on a smile. That I 100% see. And the cheeks for the smile I see too. I don't see the eyes and the anything else. Like it looking like Jackie, I think is a stretch. It looking like a painted face smile, I think you've got something there. I think that's fair to say. Actually, hold on. Wait, okay. No, hear me out. It's not Jackie. It's sun and moon. Because of the way the smile is positioned, if you hold it one way, the sun is smiling. If you flip it upside down, the moon is on top and the card is frowning. And sun moon is that like happy, angry, or happy, sad flip. Oh no, these are sun moon cards. 100%. So you had a great idea and great thing to point out that like this looks like something. I disagree that it looks like Jackie. I think these cards look like sun and moon. That's crazy. What the fuck is sun and moon? Again, a question that we're not going to have the answer to for a long time. But no, thank you for your question. That's huge, actually. That's so interesting. That's so interesting. I'm obsessed with that. All right, thank you for your question, Benji. moving on to our next question from Taya, any all. In the book, Oswald, without even thinking about it, this is talking about Into the Pit, is shown drawing animatronics, bears, rabbits, and birds, the skin peeled away and revealing metal beneath. He imagines them upright, moving like jerky robots. This is before he discovers the ball pit and goes back in time even. It's like on the second page. It's before he even knows Freddy's exists. It made me think about what we learn about ghosts from Alone Together, how when you're haunted by a ghost, you often end up with memories that aren't your own, or thoughts that aren't your own. Like I said, it feels more like a coincidence than anything substantial about the story. I don't think there's actually a ghost haunting Oswald, but it's a cool idea. Honestly, stuff like this is one of the reasons I enjoy the franchise so much, all the little details that can be played around with. Thank you for your question. I agree on that second part you said. But I've got good news, because you're not crazy here. Return to the Pit doubles down on this. Early in the story of Return to the Pit, if you make certain choices, you'll have this like nightmare about ball pits where like you're in an ocean of ball pit forever and you never get out, and then you like wake up in a cold sweat or something. You can choose to just never go back to Jeff's Pizza, never go back to the ball pit. And it's almost like you have this like premonition kind of dream. So that, on top of the fact that in every iteration, Oswald is making these drawings before he sees the animatronics or goes back in time or any of that, or even knows about Freddy's, I think you're right that there seems to be something calling to Oswald. Almost like this town has just a miasma of Fazbear that's just leaking, you know? But there is definitely something there about Oswald being affected by the ball pit before he ever interacts with it. And you're right to call that out. What is that exactly? I don't know. Whether it's just the whole town has this effect, or maybe because Oswald's dad used to be there. I don't know. You know, I really don't. But you're right to call that out. And thank you for your question. And finally, we have a question from Aurora, she, her. We know of 3 Springlock suits in the games confirmed: Fredbear, Spring Bonnie, and the sister location suit Mike is in. How many other suits do you think were made? And if more were made, who do you think they were made to be? If I'm not mistaken, they were an experimental thing, but that just might be fan-based. Bonus, how long do you think the Springlock suits were in commission until they got recalled? Seems like they had to be in it for a while for 3 different suits to be made, but I don't know. As far as in the games, we don't have a lot of evidence for any other Springlock suits besides Fredbear, Spring Bonnie, and the one from sister location that Mike is in. Granted, maybe that's Jackie, but I don't know if Jackie is a Springlock because she's a little big for that. I will say, I wonder if not Jackie, but if there's going to be a clown Springlock suit we see in Secret of the Mimic to go along with the paper pal theory that like the reason it's a bear, a bunny, and a like clown adjacent looking paper plate pal is because those were the first 3 characters, but the clown was discontinued for some reason. The books do show other Springlock suits though, in the sense that in Tales from the Pizzaplex, in the epilogues, we get a Jester Springlock suit that's brought up a few times, again adding to that theory. There's also, for some reason, and this is incredibly strange, this one story still has me tempted to say only the epilogues and the Mimic stories are canon. There's a story called Pressure in Tales from the Pizzaplex where there's an attraction where you can dress up in costumes and role-play events from FNAF's history. And Luca and his friends are role-playing a FNAF 3 scenario where one of you dresses up as Springtrap and the others dress up as other things, and whoever's pretending to be Springtrap hunts down and kills the friends. But a creepy guy who works there swapped the Springlock costume, swapped the Springtrap costume with a Springtrap Springlock suit, so he could use the Springtrap costume to like creep on a girl or something. Which begs a huge question. It's something that looks like Springtrap, but it's a Springlock suit. So it's not a spare costume, and it's not the Springtrap Springlock suit. It is specifically a Springtrap costume that is a Springlock suit. Where the fuck did he get that? Like, why was this made? So, like I mentioned, there's some stuff in the books that add additional ones, but as far as the games go, as far as we have evidence for, there were only ever 3 Springlock suits. Fredbear, Spring Bonnie, and this mysterious sister location one. That being said, you could argue the FNAF 3 phone calls imply that there is enough that you need trading video for, or I guess trading audio. And that there's at least 2 sets because due to multiple simultaneous Springlock failures at a sister location, all of them are being discontinued, which sounds like there's more than these 3. But we never get more details as to what that might mean. Maybe because that could just be saying the Night 4 sister location suit, all of the Springlocks failed at once. So that was multiple Springlock failures at a sister location. So the ones that are over here are also being discontinued. That's possible. But it's something that's worth mentioning. But thank you for your question, Aurora. Again, this is almost definitely shorter than usual, but I do not feel good. I'm going to go to the doctor again. I'm just going to go to urgent care. Maybe I can get a medicine or something. I don't know. But if you want your questions answered on the podcast, feel free to send them to Freddy Fazbear Pizza Podcast at gmail.com. It's in the description of copy and paste. It's a pain to type out. But until next time, as always, thank you for watching the Freddy Fazbear Pizza Podcast, where the pizza abilities are endless. We hope to enjoy your future patronage. Bye-bye for now.